to today's lecture on picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. Today is Saturday, the 23rd of November here in the Gold Coast of Queensland, and it's the 22nd. It's on a Friday afternoon in California. I'm glad you're here. I want everyone to be able to hear a language that they understand. So 如果各位想听一种流利的普通话翻译呢，你的软体的控制板的右下角那可以 interpretation 找到了吗？这里有 Chinese 就可以了，你可以听到我们义工呢很发心帮我们翻译普通话。Also, so there's a Chinese translation. Look at the right-hand bottom corner of your control panel. It says interpretation, and there's Chinese right there. Also, there is Vietnamese translation available. Look to your chat link and click on the link there, and you'll find a Vietnamese translation. Also, in one moment, Sarah is going to request Dharma, and if anybody in the future would like to have that experience of requesting Dharma, please send an email to Chanyu, who is our fearless, tireless coordinator, and she will set you up so that you too can request Dharma. Alrighty. All right. We have our requesting Dharma screen up. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, and then Sarah is going to do the Dharma request today. So here we go. Let's see here. I'm going to ring the bell. Are you ready? Here we go. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Okay, Sarah, if you'd like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德僧听，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱色离苦得乐，度障无上。Will the song go with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings? Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto suchedoye olahari samyao sambuddhoshe.
Namo saranto suchiroye elahadi samyao samputoshe.
Okay, 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Alrighty, Sarah, thank you so much for the Dharma request. All the way from Memphis, Tennessee, appreciate that. And we're going to go right past the Avatamsaka invocation to our acknowledgement of country and say that we respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded, as to say it was taken from them. So, let's see here. 我们恭敬地承认与冈贝语族的孔布马里人，他们是我们这里这个澳大利亚的所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Alrighty, and let's see here. We've also got a bell song that we want to, there it is. Okay, here we go. Bells sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他诺后的。One of these days, we'll sing it the way it was meant to be sung in Chinese. Till then, we have to recite it. Okay, extra points for anybody who knows what we're looking at. Just type it right there into the chat box. You can get 5 extra points. Anybody know? Sam? No? Okay. This is the Guoji Chanzong Zhongxin at Yunjushan on the campus of Zhenrusi. So, True Suchness Monastery, cloud-dwelling mountain in Shanxi province or Jiangxi province. This is one of the few times of the year when there isn't cloud, when there aren't clouds dwelling at cloud-dwelling monastery, cloud-dwelling mountain. It's a clear day, and many times during the year you wouldn't be able to see the mountains surrounding because they'd be in mist and clouds. This is almost on the tip top of Yunjushan, way up high. To get to Yunjushan, you have to travel on a mountain road that is closed part of the year because it's just so twisty and turny. And to get up high, you have to take every turn. The monks in the past who walked to get there earned their, when they finally arrived on the top, they knew they had committed and had put out major effort to get to the top, because it's this is the Guoji Chanzong or Chanxiu Zhongxin is a creation of Master Xuyun Lecture. He is keeping alive the tradition of Master Xuyun, Master Empty Cloud, and I'll give you. Let's see. We'll change our wallpaper and show you what it looks like a large part of the year. Let's see here. Many days of the year, it looks much more. Let's see here. Here we are. This is what it looks like a lot of the time. So, Yunju Shan, Yun 再来住居. So, yeah, quite a wonderful place. We were privileged to spend a couple days there and tour the International Chan Center. It will be ready by next year, and it's a vast campus, and he is building a Chan hall that he says will hold 1,000 meditators together, and I believe him. Master Xuyun was here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm this year in July, and he toured our facilities and looked at our plans for building a large Chan hall here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm, and he's a builder, and he's very interested in the plans that we have going. So in the future, we want to tell the world about the International Chan meditation center being planned there so that people can take advantage and come to China when they want to Chan Chan Da Zuo in the tradition of Master Empty Cloud. Anyone who has done a Chan session at City of 10,000 Buddhas or our affiliated monasteries knows about the schedule, getting up in the morning at 2:30, sitting the whole day round. There we are. This is what, yeah, snow. And sitting until midnight. This is how Master Xuan Hua, following Master Empty Cloud, kept our schedule for Chan sessions. So this is a wonderful opportunity is being prepared for us, people who like to Chan Chan in the traditional way. Well, it's not open yet because it's still being built, but we will certainly be spreading the word when the International Chan Center is ready to go. Alrighty. Now, today we've got an amazing set of stories. There are some miracles happening. We learned last time about the bells that rang when Master Empty Cloud came to Jizushan. We're going to I want to tell two stories about Jizushan today. So we're going to repeat last week's story and then move on to another episode here at Jizushan. First of all, let's ground it in a map. Here is Jizushan. Let's see, here we go. So, this is Yunnan province. This is southwest China. So if it was Australia, it would be Perth area. If it was US, it would be Arizona, New Mexico area. The red triangle, that's Jizushan, in the province of Yunnan. Okay, Dali Prefecture, it's called, and the famous Jinding this is the famous view. That's kind of the iconic view for Chicken Foot Mountain, Jizushan. Okay, let's see here. There we go. The amazing thing about Jizushan is they say if you stand on the peak, Jinding, you can see 4 different seasons. You can see all the way, you see the Great Lake, you can see the snowy mountains, you can see Tibet, and then you can see down into the verdant valley with bamboos and vegetation like this. So it's a remarkable, special, historical mountain. And last week we talked about Mahakashyapa, the patriarch who is the second teacher in line from the Buddha. He is, and we talked about him at length. So today we're going to focus on the mountain itself. Okay, so here we are. Let's repeat just to give a sense of last week leading into this week's amazing story. So here we go. 直上至迦舍殿，传阿难尊者来朝，石门自开，至圣境玄言。 石壁圣称一道石门，名华首门。尊者迦摄在内入定， 愿往城门关闭，宫里百事。胡问大众三明，土人欢呼礼拜，称有一人质疑。The master then went directly to the hall of Kashyapa. It's said that when the Venerable Ananda came here to pay respects, the huge stone door opened by itself. The master went to the shrine, which was a large cave on a precipice. The entrance was blocked by a stone door called Hua Shou Gate, which looked like a large gate set in a city wall. The Venerable Mahakashyapa, deep in samadhi, sits within. The master bowed, and suddenly a huge bell tolled 3 times. The local residents were surprised and delighted, and everyone bowed to him. They knew that a sage had arrived. Okay, we are in the realm of miracles again, but also a realm of predictions. Sacred places, sacred landscapes worldwide have predictions. This is true for Native Americans. This is true for indigenous people in Latin America. This is true in Europe, deeply true. The Aboriginal people here have predictions about when a sign appears, something will follow. So China, since the civilization in China is continuous and unbroken for thousands of years, these stories get remembered. The legends are passed on from generations. So one of these generations has to do with a stone gate at Jizushan, that Mahakashyapa is there in samadhi, inside the mountain, waiting for Maitreya to show up. When he does, Mahakashyapa is going to open the gate, hand him Shakyamuni Buddha's robe and bowl and say, carry on, the next Buddha. So that's the legend. And it gets passed on, maybe written down. People go, yeah. It's pretty dusty. That legend is old and nobody pays attention to that stuff. Until somebody shows up, like Master Empty Cloud, and then a giant bell is heard deeply tolling, bong, 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 3 times. And I'll show you in a minute, more sounds. It wasn't just 3. And when that happens, everybody goes, wait, what was that? Oh, you remember that legend? And then people go, you don't mean to say it's real? Only when a sage shows up does the legend come alive. And people go, oh, that's why it's called legendary, right? 7月30百家社，中文中生3地名3次名。曾有一人访如是，贤阶落拜，礼高僧。On the 30th day of the 7th lunar month, he bowed to Kashyapa. Everyone heard the tolling of the bell, which rang 3 times. People said, a remarkable man has come. This was indeed true. Everyone bowed and knelt before this eminent, virtuous Sangha member. Okay, now, what do we have? We have the Nianpu. We've got the personal record of Master Empty Cloud. So here it is. So let's see here. Let's start here. 至上指假设殿，殿中奉尊者像，传阿难尊者来朝，师门自开，至圣境显演，时必生成一道师门，名华收门。Okay, 这个差不多了。This is pretty much the same as Shifu's account. Shifu took the text, but there's more. 假设在内入定，焉若城门高数10丈，广10余丈，双门关闭，门风显然，是日游客，即导引之事，人已多。语就是说，虚云老和尚 he says I. 进向礼拜时，忽然大钟三声，突然君唤乎礼拜，称有一人至。子问中鼓于亲生，我等增温一二次鼓声。Let's see, I'm sorry. 我等增温一二次鼓心声，未问大众生也。尽是传礼拜问大众生，岂有道乎？与谢之感，是以牛年7月30日也。Okay, sorry, I made a mess of the Chinese. But so that Chinese readers can read for themselves the extra details from the Nianpu, from his biography. I think it kind of adds a little bit of flavor. He says, let's see here, right here. It's said that when Venerable Ananda came to pay homage, the stone gate opened by itself. At the sacred site of Shenyang, a natural stone gate called Huashou Gate formed on the rock wall. We heard that in the biography. Kashyapa entered into deep samadhi within there. The gate, like a city gate, towers several dozen feet high and over 10 feet wide, with closed double doors and a visible seam. Okay, so here at Jizushan is this massive stone gate, and people just kind of get used to seeing it, don't know what to do or what it has to do with anything, until someone like Master Empty Cloud shows up. On that day, there were many visitors and local guides. As I was burning incense and praying, I suddenly heard 3 sounds from a great bell. All the local people joyfully worshiped, saying an extraordinary person must have arrived. The sound of drums, bells, fish, and chime stones echoed. See, it wasn't just 3 bells, it was Dharma instruments as well. We had previously heard the drum and chime sounds once or twice, but never the sound of the great bell. Today, as my teacher, Master Empty Cloud, worshiped, we heard the great bell. Does this signify a deep spiritual connection? I don't dare say, but let's remember this day, July 30th, in the Chinese rain year of Jiqiu. Okay, so there you go. When our hero, our pilgrim, shows up, amazing things happen. As we mentioned last time, there's Tian Di, and there's heaven, earth, and humanity. And in order for, what do they say, Tian Xia Taiping, for heaven and earth to be in harmony, there has to be all 3 parts of that trinity have to do their job, heaven, earth, and humanity. When one of them, and you know who's the likely suspect, becomes corrupt or polluted or distorted or simply lazy and doesn't do its part, the other 2 cannot be in harmony. So another way to think about it is, if there's something wrong with the weather, chances are it's not heaven and earth at fault. It's the human leg of the tripod that is not doing its job. So now flip it around, when humanity does a remarkable job, when humanity does something extraordinary, heaven and earth reflect it. So having the bell and the Dharma instruments resound out of nowhere, out of empty space, you have to go, who's here? Who triggered that? And, oh, look at this rag-robed monk here lighting incense and bowing. Maybe it's him. I'll bet. So let's all go bow to this old monk. Master Empty Cloud, quick, bow to him, find out what's his story, because he brought the legend to life. And yet, if you understand the principle of Tian Di Ren, making harmony, Tian Xia Taiping, it's cause and effect, but it's cause and effect that you don't ordinarily get. special causes bring about special effects. To say it's a miracle would be like uncaused. No, that just kind of happened all by itself. No, it didn't. It was brought about by something, some special person showing up. Okay. Alrighty, let's move on to Jizushan. This is more on Tianzhu, Jizushan's summit. Okay, are we ready? Let's read here. 在行上顶，名曰天柱峰，为全山最高处。从山下至此有30里，有铜殿一所，楞严塔一座，聚山志在360庵，72大寺，今存不足14，僧伽语俗无数，子孙常聚，公叹息，欲行之。The master continued to walk up towards the Tianzhu summit, the highest point of the entire mountain. It was a 30-li walk from the foot of the mountain to the top, where the Shurangama stupa was located, as well as a copper shrine. The local gazetteer recorded that at one time there were 360 temples and 72 larger monasteries on the mountain. By the time the master visited, not even 10 monasteries remained. The situation had degenerated to the point that the monastics were no different from the laity, and the ownership rights of the monasteries were corrupted by nepotism. The master sighed. He wished to restore the monasteries to their former greatness. Okay, continue to walk up to Tianzhu summit, the highest point of Jizushan. We just saw it. Here we go. Right? Let's see, is that... see if we picked out a good one to click on. Here we go. It's not coming up. Let's try. Let's see here. How about this one? This is Wikipedia. It's reliable. Okay. Up there. This is Jizushan, the peak. Okay. It's a 30-li walk from the foot of the mountain to the top. A li is a third of an English mile, so 10 miles from the bottom of from the foot of the mountain up to the top. And there he found the Shurangama stupa, which is not recorded now, as well as a copper shrine, a shrine made of copper. We just saw one at Tiantaishan, at Wutaishan, a copper tongdian. The local gazetteer says there were 360 an. An is a convent, like GCDR, 72 si, monastery, on the mountain. What is a gazetteer? This I'd like to take a second and talk about. Gazetteers are called 地方志, 山志. It's the 言字边 and 志气的志. A gazetteer is an encyclopedia of a place. And because, as I mentioned, Chinese culture is unbroken for thousands of years, so history is a straight line. The things that happened 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, up to 5,000 years ago, there is still a written record. So people remember who was in charge, who came, what was published about that place, any miracles, like we talked about, that happened there, any disasters that happened there, how many buildings, when did it burn, when was it rebuilt, etc., etc. When was the war fought here, who was the ruler at the time. All of these facts are collected into a difangzhi, into a gazetteer. Chinese Buddhist monasteries have a long history of difangzhi that you can, if you're a historian and you like these ancient stories, it's available for you. Jizushan has a shanzhi. Almost every famous mountain in China, you can read up on the visitors that were there, what they wrote. For example, the Sida Mingshan, the four famous mountains, like Jiuhuashan. I happened to see the Jiuhuashan Zhi. And Nine Flowers Mountain, Jiuhuashan, is such a inspiring place that poets, whom the Chinese paid a lot of attention to, would get to Jiuhuashan and leave poems. They were collected into the Jiuhuashan, the Shanzhi. So you could read what Wang Wei thought about this monastery at Jiuhuashan, or what Liu Gongquan, the calligrapher, what he left behind in his poem about Jinding at Jiuhuashan. It's all collected there. I bring this up in detail because City of 10,000 Buddhas certainly should have a shan zhi. Somebody should be writing down day to day what happened. The fires that burned Redwood Valley came over the hill and stopped and turned around and went back. The monks from Abhayagiri Monastery, evacuated from the Redwood Valley fire, came to live at CTDB for 10 days. And how the two communities just merged together to cultivate and to keep the Dharma alive. And then, as soon as the fire marshal of Mendocino County said it was safe, our monks accompanied the Abhayagiri monks back to their mountain to discover that the fire stopped at the border of Abhayagiri and didn't burn the buildings. And people said the Apache Indian firefighters who came from Arizona to California to fight the fire said, "Whatever you guys are doing here, keep doing it. We've never seen a mountain reject a fire before." And so that is part of the difangzhi, to say we saw that with our own eyes. It's not CTDB, but it's our brother monastery for the Theravada. So stories like that are exactly what are in Chinese difangzhi, and we should start ours, so that over the years the stories get collected, and in the future we'll remember. Same for Gold Coast Dharma Realm. Now is the time to start a difangzhi. Don't wait, right? Start collecting the stories so that 10, 50, 100 years later, we remember who built what, who arrived, what was done there. That's the best tradition. So, the local gazetteer, in Chinese it is, let's see here, Tianzhu Feng, Zhici, Gangdian Yisu, Ju Shanzhi, there it is. Ju Shanzhi Zai. So usually it's the Yanzi Bian with that one, but that's the same word, we know. Okay, what happened? The local gazetteer said years before, 200 years ago, there was a lot of temple activity at Jizushan, a lot. There were 360 an, which is nuns' monasteries, 72 si, which is public male monasteries, and only 10 remained. Furthermore, the situation had degenerated where monks and laity were no different, and the ownership rights of the monastery, to say corrupted by nepotism, do we know what that means? What that means is fathers pass the monastery down to their sons, not to the Sangha. That families owned the monasteries instead of the Sangha. And further, we're going to find out when we look at the Nianpu that if you were a monk and arrived at the monastery and wanted to spend the night, you couldn't. You had to belong to the family to stay there. So, really corrupt. The master sighed. He wanted to restore the monasteries to their former greatness. So, here is the 10-mile walk from the bottom to the top. And the doors are closed to Master Empty Cloud. What a shame, right? Here at the stone gate, the bell rings to welcome this sage. When he goes to the top, he gets rejected because he doesn't belong to the family that owns the monastery. 天柱峰顶楞严塔，基山绝顶入太空，叹息兴衰今喜感，我功默默于重新。Okay, the Shurangama Stupa can be found upon the Tianzhu summit. The angular peak of Jidzu mountain reaches up into space. Recalling the flourishing of years past, in light of the present decay, the master had a profound wish to restore their former grandeur. He is known, we'll discover, he is still on his pilgrimage. He's still walking, and bowing and walking. We're going to find out later that the second half of Master Empty Cloud's life was marked by rebuilding old monasteries, rebuilding them. Okay, let's see if I don't butcher the Chinese here. Here we go. 在上山顶名天主峰，此为全山最高处。从山下至此约30里，有通殿一所，楞严塔一座。据山之在，全山有360庵 right? That's the convents. 72大寺 that's the monasteries. So 360 smaller temples, 72 big temples. 今子全山不足14, only 10 were left. 僧伽与俗人无殊, Sangha and laity, no different. 子孙相奉相称. So passed on inside family relations. Monks aren't supposed to have children, but they not only did, but then they passed on the monastery to their own family members. 各居产业, and they divided up the possessions of the monastery. 非本山子村, if you were not one of the family members of that particular monastery, 不准在山中住, you couldn't stay in the monastery, which is absolutely not the Buddha's principle, the Buddha's method. 并不留单, and you couldn't stay. 与I, Master Empty Cloud says, 念往昔法会之盛, recalling how in the past Dharma assemblies used to really flourish, how big the assemblies used to be with monks and nuns and ladies. 今日人世之衰, as I look at how they have fallen in the present. 叹息不已, I just can't stop sighing. let's see, 思欲有为而不知机缘之何在也. I don't know when we will be able to return to the proper method of the past. So he says, once again, I climbed to the mountain peak named Tianzhu. This is the highest point of the whole mountain. From the base to this peak is about 30 li. There's a bronze hall and a Lengyan pagoda, Shurangama pagoda. According to the mountain records, the entire mountain had 360 hermitages, 72 major temples. Now, fewer than 10 in the whole mountain. The monks are no different than lay people, inheriting property as if it were passed down through generations, meaning in the family. Those who are not descendants of this mountain, whose family aren't in charge, are not allowed to stay here, or are they provided with lodging. I lament the grand Dharma assemblies of the past and the decline of people and affairs today, and I sigh endlessly. I want to do something to restore it, but but don't know where the opportunity lies. Okay? So, how interesting that our hero, moments, days before, was greeted by a legend coming alive to celebrate his virtue, and now same area. It's still Jizushan, but it's the peak, and there's a different policy here. So the Dharma is, as they say, hanging by a thread, and here is the man in person, the monk in person, who can turn things around and remind us what real cultivation is like. But if he goes to another part of the mountain, he's not even welcome. He's turned away. He can't stay because he's not a local, doesn't belong to the clan. That's really ominous, and I won't say anything about the current situation, and you can draw your own conclusions here. Let's see now. Here is Jizushan. Now, we heard about Arhai, the lake that had the silver waves, and that seemed like things were jumping out of the water and going back in when the wind blew. That's right here. That's where Master Empty Cloud saw that natural phenomena. Then he traveled up to Jizushan. Let's see here. To here. Okay, this is Jizushan scenic spot. You can see it's quite a large area. It's not just one mountain. Here is Zusheng Si, Zhu Sheng Si, Jinding Si accommodations. So Jinding is up on this, the northern edge. The rope way. So there's apparently there is a funicula. Now you can take a cable car up. So this is Yunnan province, as we saw. He came down from Tibet, which was here. He came down to Yunnan. He returned to China, Yunnan, and is on his, and we also saw him coming through Sichuan. He traveled this way, and now he's here. Okay, so, and then I forgot. He was in Burma, in Myanmar. Here is Rangoon. So he traveled down to the Dajinta to see the miraculous Buddhist country and city. Here is Rangoon. So when he saw Shwedagon, the great golden pagoda, that was down here. Let's get a bigger perspective here.
The map is different?
It's not showing. It got stuck. Interesting. Okay. I know, because I spread it with my fingers instead of using the, let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, I want to do, let's see here. If I close that, does anything change? Yes, here we go. Okay. So, what I want to do is, see, I'll just keep this, I've told the stories that I want to tell. What's going to happen, I'll let you enjoy See if the slideshow works. There we go. Okay. Scenes of Zhenru Si while I tell stories. Okay. All of these slides are Zhenru Chansi. The situation that is described in the story happened in the 19th century. That's Master Empty Cloud's lifetime. And he was motivated from the time he finished his pilgrimage to his demise, his nirvana at 120. The Buddhist association didn't exist at that time. It hadn't been created yet. So one of the contributions that Master Empty Cloud witnessed was the creation of what was called the Zhongguo Fojiao Xiehui, the Chinese Buddhist Association. Layman Zhao Buchu was essential in its creation, and it brought together the Tibetan monks in charge, Master Empty Cloud, and Theravada monks. So it was the Chinese Buddhist Association joined together three different branches of Hanchuan Fojiao, Buddhism in China. It regulated such things as Zicun Miao. What this account, this last episode, is something that existed on the peak of Jizushan, Chickenfoot Mountain, because there was no national regulation of standards at the time. So one monastery where Mahakashyapa is said to be waiting was able to evoke a miracle, quote, air quotes, a miracle, this response, ganying, of the bell ringing and Dharma instruments being played, because heaven and earth responded to the presence of this sage, this person with remarkable gongda, extraordinary merit and virtue. So then he travels on, he goes another 10 miles up the mountain, and they don't even allow him to spend the night, the way basic courtesy to a monk. So Master Empty Cloud traveled, we're going to find out in the next couple episodes that his journey on foot is almost over. He walked 10,000 miles, 10,000 Chinese miles on foot. And he saw everything from Putoshan in the East China Sea to the monasteries in Tibet and in the southwest. So he went from the extreme east to the extreme west, down to the southeast. And then he goes back to Beijing, and in the process, he rebuilds monasteries. And not only does he physically rebuild the buildings and the grounds and the land that the monasteries hold, more importantly, he builds the Sangha into a respected order. Don't you know that in a time when Jizushan monasteries are being handed over from father to son, which is clearly no one's going to respect that, because people can tell there's nothing sacred, there's nothing holy about it. When Master Empty Cloud shows up, people say, oh, here is someone that we could bow to. This is someone we could make an offering to. This is someone who, when someone in my family passes away, I want to come and ask this monk to pray on their behalf. This is someone to whom I would entrust my spiritual well-being. I could take refuge with someone like this and explore my own spiritual, the language that they use in the seminary is my spiritual horizons. I could expand my spiritual horizons with this person. I could trust them with my soul, in plain English. So he not only rebuilt the monasteries, he rebuilt the spirituality of China in terms of Buddhism. So how important, how significant is this one individual who just wore rag robes, patched robes, and walked on foot? Amazing. The influence one person can have. Now, as we're looking right now at pictures of Zhenru Chansi, which are, these photographs were selected by the monks and the Sangha at Zhenru as representative of what they want to show as the best looks of their mountaintop campus. What you encounter when you go to Zhenru Si, True Suchness Monastery, is the living heritage of Master Empty Cloud. This is where Xuyun Lecture spent his last years, I think from 114 to 120, something like that, where he got out in the morning with his shovel and his hoe and did hard physical labor so he could be worthy of lunch, he said. One day of no work is a day of not being, you haven't earned your lunch. So this is the place where the International Chan Cultivation Center, Guoji Chanqiu Zhongxin, is being developed right now. What you're seeing right there is a ginkgo tree that's 1,200 years old, a 1,200-year-old tree that produces wonderful seeds, ginkgo seeds. So the spirit of Master Empty Cloud is not diminished now. There is a TV series called Bionian Xuyun, a century of Master Empty Cloud, or Empty Cloud's century, 100 years of this monk, that was funded and filmed as a TV soap opera, Lian Qu Ju. And there are different opinions of how successful it was, but for sure, it talked a lot about his walking pilgrimage. And one of the episodes deals with a Wai Dao, a heterodox faith that was created at Jizushan as a blend of Lama Jiao and miracles and such. It's not considered to be a proper religion, and yet they borrowed Master Empty Cloud's name and his face to say we're practicing the way he taught in the Mahayana. And you go, okay, that's the way people are. Right within the proper, people can find a way to take a shortcut. And greed, anger, and delusion, tan shan shi, are very much alive in the human mind. So if you have the skin and the name of Master Empty Cloud and just the reputation, but you don't go into the heart of cultivation, you can still wind up off what is true and proper. So to have Zhenru Chansi remember Master Empty Cloud's, not just the skin, but the bones, the blood, the marrow, the muscle of this remarkable teacher, it's really good news that the International Chan Studies Center is being built by Master Chun, by our abbot at Zhenru Si, and it's available. It will be available soon for the world to come to practice, led by Master Chunwan. So, just to share, having Shifu's, Master Chunhua's picture biography, it gives us a look, gives us a window into this remarkable monk, who was said to be, interestingly, an 8th-stage bodhisattva. Now, he would be the first one to say, don't spread gossip. That's absolutely not what I want to be known as, right? He didn't want a title or a reputation. He just wanted people to do true things. And it's that absolute lack of interest in fame or reputation that adds, the farther he goes down, reducing himself, the more we look up to him. It's like the lower he bows, the higher he gets in our esteem. Alrighty, so that being what I wanted to share, let's dedicate merit. And I don't have the banjo today because of the rain, so we'll please make a wish, and we can recite together. You can follow it on the screen. Send out your thoughts of goodness. I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow for our lecture on Sudana, another Buddhist pilgrim in the Mahayana, because we're transitioning tomorrow from teacher number 3 to teacher number 4. It's another bhikshu, so tune in. 1:30 here in Australia time, 11:30 in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and 7:30 p.m. in California. See you then. Okay, here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, we're going to bow 3 times to the Buddha. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Okay, that's going to do it for us for today. See you all next week. Ami Tofo. Bye now.